Okay, so sorry, I may have missed out the previous part of recording. Um, okay, just a moment. How do I share again? Okay. Okay, where were we? We were looking at this, right? So ignore my hoarse voice. It's still pretty bad, all right? So the first part is your Padlet, right? It's going to be 20 marks, okay? So remember, I want to see 5 teams, okay? And under each team, you are supposed to include 2 articles, all right? The link of the article, all right? And a little bit of review. So what is the review that I'm talking about? All right. So the review of the article. All right. First thing, when you talk about review, okay, I want you to say whether the article is a good article or bad one. All right. That means in terms of the content presented in the article, do you think it's a credible piece of information, or do you think that it sounds a little bit, we call that trustworthy? You cannot trust the piece of information. That means it doesn't look like a liable piece of information. All right. So that's number one. Okay. The second part of your review should look into the content of what is being shared in the article. That means how do you feel or how do you analyze the viewpoints mentioned in the article? And all right, the third one, all right, what do you think should have been included in the article? All right, suggestion. All right, maybe you realize that you were reading this piece of article about vaccination, but they forgot to include, probably some feedback from the community, and you feel that it should have been included in the article because that would create a better impact in that article. Probably. Okay, so you are supposed to review in these 3 levels. Talk about whether the article is a visible article or not. Talk about the content. How do you find the content? Whether it's a critical piece of review with much of information in relation to the topic. And the third part is you talk about how can one improve the article to be, let's say if it's a perfect article, all right, then you can probably talk about some of the aspects the article could cover in the future. All right. Okay, any questions pertaining to the assignment 1? All of you. Clear?
Madam,
Yes.
do we have to include the link of the article inside the Padlet?
Yes.
Or
Yes, you have to. You see here the button link? You can include the article here. You
okay,
have to include, yeah?
okay, madam. Thank you.
Welcome. Any other questions in relation to Padlet? The first
Madam,
assignment. Yes.
madam, the article we found, should it be local or international or both
It
of
doesn't
them?
matter. It can be anything around the globe. All right. Any issues
Okay.
under the sun is debatable. All right. But you have to make sure that the articles that you take are from credible source. Okay. For example, talking about platforms or mainstream medias like CNN, Al Jazeera, okay? We have like The Guardian, all right? Or if you want to take like newspapers and so forth, make sure that it is an unbiased view, okay? It has to be something transparent, but it cannot be biased, okay? All right? And yeah, I don't really recommend articles from blogs because they are not really considered um, a valid piece of article, all right, unless the blog has been written by someone who is established in that field. Okay? Right. I hope I answered your question, my dear.
Yes, madam. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Do we have any other questions in relation to Padlet?
Madam,
Yeah, louder, please, my dear. I can't hear you.
did you say how long? When is the due for this
2
assignment?
weeks.
2 weeks. Okay.
This is week 5, right? So you will be submitting sometime in week 7. All right. Do we have any other? All right. Any other questions in relation to the first assignment?
Madam,
Yeah,
for our article, so we have like 5 column, right? And then in each like theme, we have to find two related of article.
correct. Yeah,
Is it
correct.
2 or 1?
2.
Or
Minimum
2?
2. You can even include more. All right, minimum 2.
Oh, okay. Thank you, madam.
Right. Any other in relation to these pieces of assignment? All right, once you submit this, only then we will focus on your public speaking. All right, yes, Lo?
So we like give a summary to the article we found lah.
It's not a summary, Lo, it's a review. Critical review is different from summary. Okay? A summary is you just talk about what is written in the article. A review is you evaluate and you provide constructive feedback to the article. Okay?
Understand.
All right. Okay. Yes, next question, please.
Madam, may
Yeah?
I?
Yeah.
Do we choose all the 5 teams ourselves?
Yes, you can choose the 5 teams by yourself. Okay. I mentioned we have about 7 to 8 teams, all right, that are usually focused in debate, all right, social, economics, politics, environment, education. We have entertainment, sports, and science and technology. So apart from these teams, all right, you can choose 5.
Okay, thank you, madam.
Right. Any other questions? Okay, there are some questions coming in through this is an individual task, which means that one Padlet, one person. All right. Okay. There is no word limit for each review, but I would expect that you write at least for 250 words. Okay. We're talking about a critical review, as I said. All right. We did receive something from one of our friend. All right. She mentioned that it's a summary. It's not a summary. All right. Let me clarify. It's not a summary. You are going to evaluate the article. All right. A summary is a completely different ballgame. So be very careful of what you are presenting in the article. It's the first step. All right. To be a debater is the first step. You build on your foundation. All right. Which is the knowledge about what's happening around you. Okay? Right. Any other questions? Let me see if anything else coming through the chat. So there is no word limit, but I would expect you to write at least for 250. Yeah? Yeah. Do we have any other queries in relation to the first assignment? Okay, all right. Thank you so much. So once we are done with our first assignment, all right. So next week I will talk to you about public speaking so that you don't get confused with everything at a go. All right. So once we are done with our first assignment, then we will focus on public speaking and then followed by our e-debate. Okay. So now let me move on to today's lecture. All right. So today's lecture I aim to talk about persuasiveness. All right. All right. I hope you can see my screen. All right. So, just a second. All right. So when we talk about, my God, so sorry. So, when we talk about persuasiveness, okay, it is an important aspect we deal with when we are in a debate frontier. All right. Most often, people always, abuse debaters by saying that they are aggressive. All right. They are ruthless people who don't respect and appreciate the beauty of language. All right, but that's truly, I would say that was truly an alarming statement to throw at debaters, because most of the time debaters are persuasive. All right, so one of the crucial aspects that you need to polish and you need to understand and comprehend is that debaters are firm, but at the same time they are persuasive. All right, so you need to focus on trying to understand on how do we persuade people. All right, some of the great speakers, some of the great leaders, they don't reach out to people by, how do I say, by having loud voice. That means, I mean, in the sense that they don't put up their ideas in a wrong manner, but instead they go through the right approach, which is to have influence people by their persuasive thoughts. All right. So by having persuasive speech, all right, you can inspire people and you are able to put them into an action. Remember, the main aim or end goal of a debate is to find a solution. All right, that means you want to agree or disagree to a topic based on the current, um, you know, epitomic situation. So for that, you need to make sure that you are using the right choice of word, the right form of tone when you're talking. All right. Mhm. Okay, right. So when we talk about persuasive speech, right? Okay, so there are a few aspects that you need to focus. All right. The first one, you have to make sure that your content is beefed up. All right. That means you're very clear with what you want to say and your opinion in the speech. All right. So this one, I'm focusing on a persuasive speech, which means that you will be using this for your public speaking later on. All right. But at the same time, persuasive speech is also applicable for our debate, because if you're the first and second speaker, especially, you need to be persuasive in trying to sell your idea, all right, in trying to pitch what you want to propose. Okay, and you must ensure that you are all prepared to persuade the target audience that you aim to. All right, which means that you must also provide facts, examples, statistics, all right, from credible sources to make sure that people believe what you're trying to say. All right, and you must tackle the opposing claims as well. You have to be able to provide refutation, all right, to opposing views that could emerge from the topic. All right. Show clear reasoning. That means you provide enough of explanation. That means the analysis to what you're trying to propose is there. Also, you can talk about, you can try to summarize, okay, your idea probably at the end of your speech. All right, just to make sure that you have guided your audience in terms of what you want to propose. And always end your speech with a strong statement, all right? Or you try to paraphrase what you have mentioned in the earlier part. Remember, as I said again, I am repeating this for a number of times now. Okay, the reason is because a debate is not just merely an argumentation, neither a public speaking. All right, but instead we want to achieve something at the end of the day. We either want to prove something, right, and we want the community to take up certain measures or probably certain party, or we want to change the mindset of people. So for that, you need to have a strong closure to your speech to make sure that your message has an impact. All right. So delivery. All right. You can have an eloquent language, or probably you are not a good user of the language. It doesn't matter. A successful presenter should be able to deliver their idea in a confident manner, and you need to have the spirit in you. All right. Uh, so of course this time around our class is not going to be a physical class, so I believe that all you need to do is just to be relaxed and have an eye contact throughout your presentation. All right. But then in reality, let's say if you're going to have a physical speech later on, and let's say if you intend to go into debating or public speaking field in the near future, you need to have good body language in terms of how you carry yourself, because that actually tells a lot about how you feel about the topic and what is your role in the topic. All right. And if you can, you may include visual aid as well. For public speaking, most often, if it's not a tournament, if it's just a public speech, they would allow you to have visual aids. All right. So when we talk about persuasive speech, first of all, you need to have a plan. All right. You must make sure that you find topic ideas. That means, sorry. All right. You need to find topic, all right, that you are comfortable to talk about, all right. And at the same time, you need to make sure that you have sound knowledge about the topic. Remember, if you do not have enough of background knowledge to the topic that you're going to talk or deliver, that's going to hamper the understanding of your audience as well, because you don't know what on earth you're talking. How do you expect the people to understand, isn't it? So first of all, make sure that you choose a topic that you are comfortable of, all right? And then you try to brainstorm ideas that you can talk in relation to the topic, all right? And only then you actually prepare and draft your speech, all right? So once you've decided on a topic, once you feel comfortable and confident about your topic, then you prepare for your speech. You have to clarify your position. That means, first of all, you need to understand how do you feel about the issue and where do you stand in that issue. You can agree or disagree. It doesn't matter. All right. For example, there was one topic that we talked about earlier on in my class. Arranged marriage versus love marriage. Okay, so you clarify your position. Which one are you with? And why do you say so? All right. And then once you have done that, only then you try to research further to understand better, all right, to the topic. All right, that means you try to understand who are the stakeholders in the topic and what are the parties I'm looking at and how is this going to, hamper or, sorry, how is this going to affect the whole paradigm of situation, all right? And then you try to study your audience, all right? What do you think your audience would want to know, all right? And what do you think their stand could be? So this can be a little bit tricky because we do not know who are our target audience, but sometimes if you're going for, like, let's say in our class you do understand the target audience are debaters, all right? So you would be able to prepare a little bit in terms of what are their expectation and what could be their stand as well. So by trying to identify your audience, you would be able to prepare, all right, certain strategies, all right, certain examples that would help to keep them checked, all right? Then you want to understand and you want to find out, all right, how can you make your audience listen to you throughout your speech? Remember, if it's a 5-minute public speaking speech, most of the time people only listen to you for probably maximum 1 to 2 minutes, and then they shut off. So if you want them to listen to you throughout your speech, you need to include interesting examples to make it rich. Okay, you can include questions, you can include anecdotes, you can include statistics, all right. You can even include certain humor to make sure that you are able to grab the attention of the audience, all right. And then you talk about how are you going to organize your ideas or your arguments, all right? Do you want to talk about, the opposing views first, followed by the proposition view, or you want to talk about the proposition view and then the opposition view, or you want to talk about the most strongest idea to the weakest one, All right, you have to plan on how you want to present your idea. All right. So if you look at this one, while you're trying to prepare and deliver your speech, you also want to talk about you also want to look into what are the techniques you will be using when you want to capture the audience interest and attention. Right. So verbal techniques are like the choice of words, like we mentioned just now. All right. We will talk about the information that you include in the speech itself. All right, so that could include like probably the word choice. Okay, you can talk about probably include anecdotes. All right, you can even include humor. All right, you can even include facts. So this kind of information can capture the audience interest. So non-verbal technique is like probably your body language. All right, so it could be the way how you carry yourself. All right, in the presentation itself. All right, so one of the best thing to do is that before the big day, always practice your speech. All right. Um, for my students, especially if they are novice speakers, I always tell them look at the mirror when you are practicing so that you know how you are talking, how you're carrying yourself, how is your body language, how is your gesture, all right? How is your posture, all right? So try to look at the mirror, or if you have a good critic as a friend, okay, you can even practice in front of them. So that will help you understand on what are the areas that you can improve. Okay, so you can even tape record your practice to make sure that you are on the right track. All right, so I do that. All right, I used to do that back then when I was a debater. I used to tape record myself because I realized that my friends were just being too nice to me, and then when I go for tournaments I get really bashed up. All right, so during my early days I used to record myself and then see on how I can improve in terms of delivery and effectiveness of the speech. All right, okay. So voice, this is something interesting. All right, because I have seen debaters screaming their lungs out. All right, and assume that the louder they speak, the better their ideas are going to reach. No, it's not that way. All right, you have to speak loudly. That's true. All right, you have to be loud enough so that the other party on the other bench can hear you, as well as the adjudicators can hear you. All right, but you cannot be screaming. It has to be loud, but you're not screaming. And at the same time, your pitch and tone has to be varied. It cannot be monotonous. You're not a robot. So you need to know when to emphasize, when to increase the pitch, when to lower down the pitch, and so forth. All right, but that doesn't mean that you start using high pitch tone all the while. All right, I know it can be a little bit annoying for most of the adjudicators when they try to listen and understand what you're trying to exert at the end of the day. Maintain eye contact. All right, always maintain eye contact with the audience or with the adjudicator. All right, like let's say we're going to do it online, you have to look at the camera to make sure that you are having eye contact with the rest of the audience, even though it sounds awkward. All right, but that's the reality of the current situation. Okay, you have to be natural. All right, which means that there has to be emotion. All right, which is displayed through your facial expression. Okay, particularly your eyes and your mouth. All right, it speaks a lot about what you want to say. All right, how do you feel about the topic and what is your stand in the topic. All right, so for visual aid, I would allow you to use visual aid for public speaking, but just one. You're only allowed to use one visual aid for your public speech. All right, it's up to you. You want to show a statistic, or you want to show a banner, you want to show an advertisement, or probably a graph. It's up to you, but just one. All right, but your visual aid is supposed to be clear, and it's supposed to be something important so that it adds value to your speech. All right, okay, so remember, a speech is only successful if you're able to convince your audience. So you have to make sure, all right, that you provide a reflective comment at the end of your speech. Okay, if you're really intending to improve your skill, all right. So it's always best once you have finished your speech, you can say, is there any 2 cents that you would like to give? Or is there anything else that you would like to add on? You can even throw in a question to your audience just to make sure that you want to know how they feel about your um, speech. All right. So these are some of the comments, all right, that we used to get from some of the audience, all right, throughout our exercise. Okay, so the most common one is I couldn't hear you. All right, so remember, as I said, all right, you have to speak loudly, but don't shout. You cannot scream, and make sure that you have a varied level of tone and pace in your speech. Okay, so your evidence didn't convince me. That means the credibility of you as a speaker. So for that, you need to make sure that you 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 retrieve information from established resources. All right. So, and I try to look at your reasoning, your analysis, whether it creates a check and balance in terms of what are you trying to propose. All right. I was bored. That means you're supposed to include more interesting hues in your speech to make sure that the audience get hooked to your to your speech. It's always best to include humor a little bit. You can even include an anecdote, or if you're having a speech in a physical manner, then you can probably move around, and then if you're doing it online, you need to have a variant in terms of your tone, your volume, all right, and then probably you can show a little bit of visual images just to make sure that they're still with you. All right. Okay, so we have come to the end of what I wanted to share with you in pertaining to persuasiveness. All right, so these are just some general information, some general rules, I would say, that that you need to understand when you talk about persuasiveness. But apart from this, I would like to also touch on the choice of words, because I believe that most often debaters don't really pay attention to this. Not all right, that would be a generalization, but just some, all right, a minority. So what happens is that when they want to say an idea, it doesn't sound strong and impactful like how they wanted it to be. That is because a wrong choice of word was used. All right. So it's always best, let's say if you're preparing a public speech, it's always best to read through your speech, uh, to ask a friend to probably listen and probably get some honest review and feedback from them in pertaining to how they feel about your speech. Well, it can be a little bit tricky for them as well, because when we talk about public speech, right, when we talk about debate, all right, how a person view, all right, a speech can differ to another person. But when it comes to word choice, all right, if you are able to find the right choice of word to express certain ideas and thoughts, it would create a huge impact, all right, to what you want to propose at the end of the day, right? And besides that, when we look into debate, all right, there are a lot of technical jargons that you will be dealing with, especially if you are debating with some senior debaters, where they seem to understand a pool of vocabulary that is largely used in the field of debate. So you need to understand that as well. For example, some of the common words they may use in the field of debate is like parameters, okay, stakeholders, all right, legislation, all right, standard operation, all right, or we talk about discrepancy, all right, and then we talk about cohesive choice, all right, informed choice, all right. We look into some of the way in terms of policy, all right, in terms of principle. So these are some of the technical jargons that you may hear if you are in a pool of debaters, but this is where you're supposed to equip and help yourself with the amount of vocabulary that's available in the field of debate. All right. So it's always best that you just start, watching some of the novice debaters video. All right, just to get an understanding what are the potential vocabulary that is commonly used in the field of debate, so that you don't lose out at the end of the day. All right, but that's only applicable for people who really want to go into the field of debate and who really want to improve themselves in debating skill. All right, but apart from that, if you just want to like pick up some skills in terms of communicating, what I shared with you should be sufficient enough. Yeah. All right. Do we have any questions that you want to ask me in pertaining to what I have shared today? Hello? No questions. Okay. All right. Can you swear during a debate? Lutfi. Is it Lutfi? Yeah. Can you just unmute your microphone and then probably clarify what do you mean by swear?
I mean, like normal swear words, you know, like the F word or the S word or the B word.
Of course, swearing is prohibited in a debate, all right? But because that's, of course, goes back to ethics of a debate and so forth. But most often, sometimes these would they just come naturally to some people, you know. They would probably blurt out, in a manner where they're not really meaning to be offensive, but they were just probably trying to probably condone themselves. But of course, you are not allowed to swear to another debater in the context of debate. That's a big no, of course.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Do we have any other questions? Are we allowed to be colloquial during a debate? Who is this? Wait, hang on. Who's that? Can you just unmute your microphone and then probably shoot that question? It's better for you guys to ask me rather than typing your question, because I can't see. There seems to be something wrong with my chat bar. Noor Husna. Husna, can you please clarify? What do you mean by colloquial? Husna, where are you? Husna, you're here? Noor Husna Hayati, am I right? Yeah. What do you mean by that? What? Because my voice will not be in synchronized. I don't get you. How are you gonna do online speech channel if your voice is not gonna be synchronized? I don't quite get you. Because I don't understand your question. Are we allowed to be colloquial during a debate? What do you mean by that? Can you clarify? I don't really get that. Because when we talk about colloquial, you're talking about the use of language which is probably informal, right? Well, what's the difference between formal and informal? Unless the guys, I still don't get you, Husna. I mean, can we use the word like guys? What's wrong with the word guys? Oh, okay, guys, this is what I'm trying to say and so forth, is it? Oh, okay. Well, it depends on what level of debater are you, all right? But most often when we talk about professional debaters, they don't really go for these jargons because they are not really in the context of debate. They usually address debaters in the manner of sir and miss or madam, all right? So I think it all goes back to what kind of debater you want to portray yourself as, all right? But that's completely acceptable though. Also, you need to fix your mic, You're going to be in a lot of trouble if you're going to have online sessions where you may need to use your mic. Okay. Any other questions?
Madam,
Yeah, hi.
for public speaking, we have group for public speaking,
Group.
small group because it's debate, right?
Okay. Are you two different assignment? All right. Public speaking is going to be individual. Debate, you will have group, of course. That would be the second assignment, e-debate too.
Oh, okay, madam.
Right. Any other question? Okay.
Madam,
Yes, Lutfi.
if I'm like giving a point, right, and then I accidentally swear, is it more professional to stop and say sorry or just continue with the debate?
It would be better for you to apologize, all right, when you realize that you made a mistake, because that would actually hamper your language or manner, all right, in the context of debate. Because when we look at debate, right, there are three components that they will assess you. They will assess your matter, that means the content, the method, that means the role and responsibility as a debater, the manner. And language comes into manner, all right? And let's say when you realize that you have done an error, okay, while you were debating, you can probably just stop and say, I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean that. And then you go on trying to, talk about what you really intend to.
Okay, thank you, madam.
Right. Well, any other questions in relation to persuasiveness? Okay. Well, all right. Okay. I believe that there are no significant questions coming, all right, anymore. All right. But anyway, this is what I intend to do with you, all right? We have another 40 minutes, all right, to go, all right? I want you to take out a piece of paper, if you have a piece of paper with you, all right? Okay, please take out a piece of paper, or if you have a phone or something like that, you can do so, all right? Okay, I want you to talk about an issue, all right? An issue that is happening around you, just one issue, all right? Okay, I want you to write in that piece of paper what is the issue, all right? Okay, and try to brainstorm, okay, why is that issue important to you, or why does it matter to you? All right. For example, you can choose any issue that is probably popular at the moment. All right, you want to talk about people doing summer return work, or you want to talk about transgender eloping the country, or you want to talk about how the COVID cases are still on the high. You want to talk about any issue. It doesn't matter. All right, but something that is close to your heart. All right, you have to do it in a piece of paper, or if you want to do it in your phone, up to you, or tablet, all right, or in the note section on your phone, all right? So the issue, and just about 3 or 4 sentences about why that issue is important to you, all right? And then come up with a plan, all right, on how do you think that issue can be resolved. Understand? Is that clear?
Yes,
Yes.
yeah.
What's the issue? Can be any issue. All right, why is the issue important to you? All right, and then and then come up with a plan, right, on how you can actually solve that issue. All right, so do it in a piece of paper or phone or whatever not. Include your name, your matric number, and send it in our Telegram group. I want to see it in a Telegram group, not in Google Classroom. Why? Because we want to see what are the common issues that is being debated and discussed among young adults. Okay? All right. So we will meet again next week. All right. So start working on your fact file. All right. If you have questions, you can just post it in our Telegram group. All right. I will upload our recorded lecture in our Google Classroom group. Right. Are all of you in Google Classroom at the moment? I hope all of you are in the Google Classroom. All right. I will upload the lecture materials as well as the recorded lecture in our Google Classroom. Yeah. All right. So the task that I just assigned to you, prepare that and then post in our Telegram group. All right. As I said, any topics, any issues that is close to your heart, and it can be a very petty issue, and you feel that people are not really paying attention because it is not popularized or it is not something that demands immediate attention, but you feel that it is a very serious thing. All right. For example, some of the issue that's very close to my heart is littering, public littering. I feel that it is a never-ending issue. People are still, littering publicly without sense of guilt. So that's something that involves me. All right, and this issue it used to be heavily discussed, but not really paid attention at the moment. All right, because we have no other pressing matters to discuss. Yeah. All right. Okay. Any questions? No. Okay, if there are no questions, I will see you again next week, all right? And I intend to expose you to the technique of preparing for public speaking, all right, in depth, all right? We're going to look at how you develop ideas, all right, so that you can prepare yourself for the assessment, all right? And I will be uploading an online link later where you can update your names and I can assign you topics for you to prepare. All right. Yeah. Any questions?
Hi, William.
Yes. Hi.
Sorry, I need to ask you regarding on the task that you given. Should present it in paragraph or mind map?
Up to you. Up to you.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It is an informal task. All right. Just class task to see how you look at certain issue. All right. And how are you viewing that issue in a perspective of a debater? Because I want you to come up with a plan, your idea, your solution, on how you can actually solve the matter.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, for example, right, public littering. If you're going to ask me how am I going to solve that, all right, I would probably, just give me a second. Apologies. All right. I have a young toddler at home. All right. Okay. So, for example, right, when we talk about public littering, one of the things that if you're going to ask me what's my suggestion in trying to condone this matter, I would probably come up with an NGO, all right, which will try to educate people, okay, and I would have tighter enforcement, all right, maybe taking them to prison, that means putting them behind the bars, okay, if they're caught, and then I would come up with public reporting reward, where people are rewarded if they report of public littering, okay, and then giving the authority to the police to summon people who publicly litter. So these are my solution, but These solutions need further refining. This is something that I just come up in a blink, all right? But you can probably walk through and understand what you want to propose, all right? Any questions? Okay, all right. So in that case, I will see you again next week, all right? Okay, are you people free on Wednesday, 5 to 7, or do you have class on Wednesday, 5 to 7?
I have a class on Wednesday.
You have class.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, so some of them have got class. Okay, all right. Okay, no problem. All right. I just wanted to check whether I could probably have a mass lecture with the other group. All right, never mind. Right, I'll still see you on Monday. All right, at 5. If there are other further things, you can probably buzz me in our group. Yeah. So take care. Thank you very much. I'll see you again next week. No questions, right? Do we have questions?
No.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. See you again next week. Take care.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam. Madam.
Yeah.
Welcome.